All right, we're here in the Vulcan Test Kitchen once again. Thank you for joining us for another a la carte training segment. We have a lot to get to today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're really excited to have Chef Pete with us. He's going to talk a little bit about himself, but more importantly, what is he going to cook today and how is he going to cook it?
My name is Pete Schellenbach. I'm the culinary specialist here at Vulcan. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating the full breadth of the Vulcan line. It's such a nice thing to be able to stay within a brand so you don't have to retrain labor on different types of pieces of equipment. Vulcan provides a full range of kitchen equipment. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of follow a piece of chicken or follow chicken as an ingredient through 4 different types of cooking methods. Because those different cooking methods have they provide different flavors, different textures to the chicken. You're going to see the way that each piece will affect the flavors and textures of the food and give great consistent results every time.
Okay, and what types of cooking methods will you be employing today?
So today I'm going to be cooking on the fryer, the convection oven, the charbroiler, and I'm going to be sauteing on the V-Series heavy-duty range.
So walk me through your complete menu today.
For menu today with the chicken, we're going to do some very basic chicken tenders and French fries in the fryer. They're hand breaded, made from scratch chicken tenders. The charbroiler is going to see a grilled chicken breast that has a lemon and herb marinade. The saute is going to be chicken marsala, a classic preparation of chicken marsala, and the oven is going to provide us a baked chicken cordon bleu. We're twisting that chicken cordon bleu a little bit. We're seeing a lot of mortadella used in a lot of different places. So this chicken cordon bleu is going to have mortadella and fontina in it, as opposed to the traditional ham and Swiss.
Why fry the chicken? What's the benefit there?
Frying is a great way to cook food, high volume, great crispy texture. It's crispy because what most people don't know is that frying is a dry heat cooking method. As the moisture cooks out of the edge of the product, that's what makes that crispy exterior. The moisture is then pulled up through the oil because oil and water don't mix. So the moisture comes out and comes up as a cloud of vapor above the fryer. That's the mechanism of frying. Frying at 350 degrees gives you a great crispy texture. And the most important thing about frying is oil temperature recovery. The reason is that if the oil temperature drops, the oil will start to migrate into the food and you'll end up with greasy product. The thing that you're trying to do with any fryer, and something that the Vulcan PowerFry 5 does extremely well, is bring the oil back up to 350 degrees. When you put product in, obviously the temperature drops. So the goal is to get it back to 350 without overshooting. And we power that oil back up to 350 degrees, but we have a very sensitive thermostat to make sure that it doesn't go shooting over 350 degrees so we don't overcook our food that way.
All right, great. Now, why'd you choose the PowerFry to fry on today?
The reason that I went with the PowerFry 5 is just because of its efficiency. It's an extraordinarily efficient fryer. It's actually running right now, which means that all of the heat energy that I'm producing in the burner tubes is going into the fryer and not up my ventilation system, which means that I'm saving money as I'm frying.
And what about filtration? I see you have some heavily breaded foods. Well, what will the filtration help do?
Well, filtration is the process of removing the little bits of food that have fallen off of the food out of the oil. The more that you filter, the better off you are. I'm a firm believer that if you're not frying, you should be filtering, because the less sediment that you have in the oil, the longer your oil is going to last.
All right, sounds good. Let's get to it so I can eat some chicken tenders.
I got a bunch of chicken tenders and fries to cook, so let's go. Loading up the chicken tenders. Definitely try not to fill a fry basket more than half full. The reason is that you need to make sure the oil can completely surround the food product, because that's how you're transferring your heat into the food. So we'll split these up evenly between these two. Gonna go ahead and drop them in, give them a shake, and I'm gonna tell it that I'm cooking chicken tenders, and I want a 4-minute timer on that. going to be doing some French fries. We'll lower those in. Give them a shake. And on this side, I'm going to do number 1 for fries. So what I'm doing right now with a little shake of the baskets is just making sure that I don't have any product that's touching each other, to make sure that I've got oil in between, because if I have oil in between, then I've got good heat transfer on every surface. All right, so my Power Fry 5 is telling me now's the time to remove the chicken tenders. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove them. And I'm gonna tell it I did so by silencing that timer. Now I've got fully cooked chicken tenders, and I'm gonna have some fries right behind them in about 10 seconds. I'm gonna pull some chicken tenders out, let you see what we got. A beautiful browned, crispy breading. We went the extra step of brining our chicken tenders before we breaded them, so pushed a little flavor right down into the meat. Pretty good looking plate of chicken tenders. That fries up. I'm going to give them a little shake. Shake off any excess oil that I can right now. Obviously, it just drops right back into the fryer, and make sure that I don't waste any of it. And I'm going to be taking these fries into our infrared heated dump station, like so. And while I still have a little sheen of oil on the fries, I'm going to salt them now, and then use our fry scoop to toss them around a little bit, make sure they're evenly seasoned.
And why bake today? Why bake the chicken?
So baking doesn't impart much of its own flavor. It allows most of the natural flavors that are already in the food to come out. By baking at higher temperatures, you still get browning reactions, so caramelization in Maillard. So you develop different flavors, but it's generally a very great way to do large volumes of food consistently. I'm going to be cooking some chicken cordon bleu in the Vulcan VC5. So great features about the Vulcan VC5 are start with the doors. It's the way in. We've got the phenolic handles to stay cool to the touch, even though the oven is still running at high temperature. The double pane glass is vented externally from the cabinet, which means it's not going to draw grease into the space between the two panes, which is why you always see convection ovens with brown doors. Also, these doors can just lift directly off the hinges, and I can take them over to the dish tank once they're cool and wash them through the dish tank. Also, on the inside of the cabinet, let's take a look. I've got racks that can be positioned at multiple levels inside the cabinet, which allows for different sized products to go in. I've got the cutout here in the front of each rack, which makes it very easy to grab trays that are on those racks. And then my favorite feature for keeping this clean is a full size drip tray at the bottom of the unit to catch anything that's falling off the food. Makes cleanup a lot easier. One other thing about the VC5 I'd like to point out. So I've got the very easy to use dial that has an LED readout right above it to say what the dial is set to. And then down here, I've got a very easy to read countdown timer to use so that I don't lose track of anything that I've got cooking in my oven. Well, a convection oven does a great job for high production. And with Vulcan, you've got a very even baking pattern on the inside of the compartment. I will tell you that the fan, which unlike other convection ovens, which is recessed heavily into the back wall of the oven, this fan is protected, but it's away from the back wall, which allows for much greater airflow around the product. The greater the airflow, the greater the heat transfer, and the more even the heat can transfer.
And why saute?
Sauteing is that high-speed, a la minute kind of cooking method. Basically, the flavors, you are going to get some caramelization from the pan. You are going to get some Maillard reaction from the high heat, but mostly saute is the fastest way to meld all the flavors of a dish in one place at one time, quickly. Like I said, a la minute. It's the busiest station in the kitchen. A couple of the features I'm going to take you through real fast. On the V Series Heavy Duty, I've got knife edge grates. What that does is, because the grate is narrow, it exposes more of the bottom of the pan to the flame and less of a shadow of a thicker grate. I've also got a 2-part burner that can be disassembled for cleaning. And then we have our aeration bowl, which focuses the heat against the bottom of the pan. Also, if you'll notice on the back of the range, the grates are larger to accommodate full-size stock pots. As I cook, you'll notice that from time to time, I'm going to adjust the height of flame or the power of the flame. I've got a 10-to-1 adjustment, so I can go down to a very low flame for a simmer and then all the way up for when I really need to crank it. I'm going to start with some butter in this pan. I got a nice hot pan, so I'm going to be ready to go in with the chicken right away. A little color on that butter is actually going to be nice. Nice brown sauce that we're going to be making. You'll notice again, I've got all sorts of control with this burner. You go down very, very low or up super high. I'm going to turn it down a little bit to give this chicken a chance to catch up with the butter. Everything that's going to go on this plate, the chicken marsala, the asparagus, and the potatoes were all done sauteed on the range. So I've got a little color on these pieces of chicken. I'm going to flip them over. Okay. I'm going to leave these just a little bit under, just a tiny bit under, so that when I come back and add them back into the sauce, they'll finish in the sauce. So those look nice. As far as the texture and the color goes on this chicken, I'm looking to have a little bit of browning on the outside, not too much. I want some of that Maillard reaction, the browning, but I don't want to cook it so hard that I'm making the exterior tough. All right, so I've still got a little room to go in this chicken. See, it's a little bit under still, which is right where I want it right now. I'm going to remove that quickly to another plate. I'm going to go back in with some mushrooms. I feel like I could use a tiny bit more butter in this pan. I'm going to add in a little bit more butter. And the secret to mushrooms is just don't touch them for a second. Get a nice good sear on them. Get a good sear on the mushrooms. Well, saute is a great way to do a la minute cooking, where I'm going to be pulling in several different types of flavors together in one pan for one finished dish. This is traditionally one of the busiest stations on the line. I've got a little bit of color on these mushrooms now. In rapid succession, I'm going to go in with a little bit of garlic. Now I'm going to add salt, because if I had added it before, I would have been pulling moisture out. And then away from the heat, I'm going to add a little marsala. That will deglaze the bottom of the pan. And as that begins to reduce, make sure that pick up all the fond off the bottom of the pan from the chicken. A little reduction there. And now I'm going to add a little bit of heavy cream to build that sauce. And then right now, I'm going to go back in with my chicken. Let the chicken finish in that sauce. like that. So as my chicken finishes up in the sauce, mushrooms are done, sauce is building, starting to reduce. I'm obviously looking for bigger, larger bubbles as the sauce reduces. The sauce gets a little stickier and the bubbles can get a little bit bigger. That's a great way of knowing that you're reducing. Little tiny bubbles here, but they're going to get thicker as the sauce reduces. A little bit of salt and pepper. A little chopped parsley into there, which I'll toss around. Make sure I've got nice coverage. And now I've got some potatoes that I sauteed. I blanched those first in a stock pot on the back of the range. Lightly blanched those, then I finished them in a saute of butter. I also have some sauteed asparagus that I have, and so that's going to be the finished plate. And then I'm just going to make sure that I've got sauce, mushrooms on top of my chicken. Really classic chicken marsala with sauteed potatoes and sauteed asparagus.
And why charbroil?
Charbroilers provide an interesting flavor because there's a certain element of bitter to the char flavor that you don't get on other pieces of equipment. We associate that flavor profile much more with summer type foods, right? You grill out in the summer. So charbroilers provide that kind of outdoor cooking flavor and texture at any time. So I'm loading up my VACB charbroiler with some lemon marinated chicken, lemon and herb marinated chicken. I'm actually taking advantage of a couple of the features here on the charbroiler. One of the things that I'm paying close attention to is the standard supercharger plates that are beneath the grill grate. The supercharger plate is letting me zone my heat very effectively with a cool side and a hot side if that's what I need. Well, the texture that I'm looking for is I want a nice grilled exterior. I don't want to overcook the interior of the chicken, but I'm definitely looking for great grill marks, nice deep set dark grill marks. Those are the flavor of grill. And that's what I'm looking for with this. So the construction of this is that the chassis is fully welded. All of the parts that control the temperature on the inside of the charbroiler are made of cast iron. And what that means is that I'm going to get extremely long life out of those pieces, out of much longer life out of those pieces than I would if I were using a charbroiler that were made of any lighter sort of construction material. One of the great features of this is that I have a large number of grill grate configurations. I can do different grill grates. I could actually do a griddle on here. The nice thing about that is it lets the operator dial in the look that they want their food to have. So that helps them create their own personal brand. Their food always has a certain look to it. As the chicken cooks, it'll be easier to release as the grill marks get set. A great option that the Vulcan charbroilers have is the wood assist smoker base. Basically what that allows me to do is with a different configuration at the base of the charbroiler, I can add wood. The nice thing about that is that they're close enough to the heat to start to provide smoke, actual smoke flavor, but since I'm not cooking with wood as the heat source, I have two things. First of all, I have the consistency of a gas charbroiler with the addition of smoke flavor. And also from an expense wise, I don't have to have the type of ventilation system that's associated with a solid fuel cooking device. So I'm just turning these now to get good grill marks on them. The supercharger plates make sure that I've got an even heat signature across the entire surface of the grill. And because I don't have that campfire effect of just a circle of heat right in the middle, I've got even heat distribution across the entire grill. What that gives me is greater production. So as I'm cooking this asparagus, I just want to make sure you see that I've got really great char marks on that. And I'm going to be ready to start turning over the chicken. You're going to see these great diamond grill marks on the surface. One advantage of the construction here is that I can have my grill grates flat like this, totally horizontal, or I can configure them so they have a slight angle to them. It's just sort of whichever way the cook prefers. If they're angled, the back becomes a little further away from the heat source. So it allows me to sort of configure the charbroiler in a way that's going to be best for the food that I'm going to be cooking on it. Okay, so now my chicken is finished, my lemon and herb marinated chicken. I'm gonna remove these to a plate. So now I'm gonna go ahead and make the plate that I'm gonna serve. So today in the fryer, I made some chicken fingers and some French fries. In the convection oven, I made a sort of a twist on a traditional chicken cordon bleu. On the V-Series heavy duty range, I sauteed traditional chicken marsala. And on the charbroiler, I did some grilled chicken breast that had been marinated. I've also got some grilled asparagus on that plate as well. It's such a nice thing to be able to stay within a brand so you don't have to retrain labor on different types of pieces of equipment. Vulcan provides a full range of kitchen equipment.
I'm Joe Maresca, Director of Sales for Vulcan. And I want to thank Chef Pete for preparing those delicious menu items today. One of the benefits of being a full-line equipment manufacturer is that when you ask the customer what's on the menu, Vulcan will have a cooking solution for them. It's part of what we call the Vulcan difference. We offer one representative, one quote, one shipment, one bill of lading, one invoice. Add our dedicated product specialists and 2 service solutions in every territory, and we make it easy to do business with us. The fryer, oven, range, and charbroiler Chef prepared the chicken on today is just a sample of a Vulcan product line that focuses on best-in-class quality, reliability and durability, high performance, lower cost of ownership, efficiency, simplicity, intuitive controls, and equipment that is easy to operate and clean. Don't forget our complimentary equipment checkout on every Vulcan and Wolf product we sell. When you add this all up, no other manufacturer can stack up to the Vulcan difference.